Hi there folks, I hope you're all well. So in continuing the tradition that I've just started, I'm going to do a couple of edits for this video. I'm going to do Spanish tortilla recipe. We're going to get the short edit for people who are experienced in the kitchen, and you're also going to get this edit, the longer edit, showing you each of the stages in a bit more detail, a bit longer to go through, but gives you everything you need to take it from start to beginning and how to make the Spanish omelette that we're about to do. If you do like the video, please share it among your socials, because I'm looking to try and grow the channel, and the fastest way to grow the channel is let other people see the videos and see if they like them too, and then they can hit that wee subscribe button like you did. So let's crack on. Let's make a Spanish omelette. So the very first thing we're looking to do is measure out 180 grams of gram flour, which is made from chickpeas and is also known as besan flour. We want to take and we want to sieve that directly into our bowl. So sit your bowl and your sieve on your scales and measure your 180 grams directly into the sieve and then sieve it from there. Now, it's just the nature of gram flour that when you shake it down, most of it will go through, but you're going to find some hard lumps at the bottom once you've got most of it sieved through. Just take your fingers and rub them round the inside of your sieve, and that'll break up any of the gram flour that's became lumpy and get it through into the bowl. And to the same bowl that has our gram flour, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of table salt. And next up, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika to the same bowl. And we're going to follow that up with a 1/4 teaspoon of red chilli flakes. And now we need to mix everything together. I find a large whisk is the best tool for this. Use a fork or even use your fingers, but we're just looking to give everything a thorough mix together. And next up, we require between 225 and 250 grams of small waxy potatoes. New Jerseys are a good one to use, but anything you know to be a waxy potato will do the job. Now, when we are looking at the weight of potatoes, I'm talking peeled weight as well. So take and peel our potatoes and add them to the scales until we get to the right sort of ballpark. And once our potatoes are peeled, we're going to look to slice them into roughly 5 to 7 millimeter wide slices. So nothing too large, nothing too narrow, but 5 to 7 millimeters is what we're looking for. And once sliced, we want to add them to a pan of cold water. We're then going to bring that to the boil, and we're going to boil for 10 minutes. Next up, we want to take 1 red bell pepper and we're going to finely chop that. First thing we want to do is we want to half the bell pepper, and then we're going to rip out all the seeds part of it, and we're going to rip out the green stem. Now, to finely chop it, we're going to slice along it as you see here. If we were to stop doing this slices at this point, this would be julienning the pepper, but we're not. We're then going to turn 90 degrees and we're going to cut perpendicular to where we were, and we're going to cut that really nice and finely, only a few millimeters wide. And once that bell pepper's been chopped, we're just going to take and we're going to slide that onto a silicone lined baking tray, and we're then going to set it aside until required. And now we're looking for somewhere in the region of 120 grams to 140 grams of cherry tomatoes. And we then want to take and we want to quarter those tomatoes. So slice down on one and then half it to get our quarters, as you see. And once the tomatoes are quartered, we're going to store these on a separate silicone lined baking tray. And by now our potatoes should be about ready, so we're going to drain the potatoes into a colander in our sink. And once drained, we're just going to leave these to cool until we require them. And back on to preparing the rest of our vegetables, and we're going to need between 75 and 100 grams of asparagus, fresh or frozen. And we then want to chop our asparagus into slices between 5 and 10 millimeters thick. First off, discard the root end, and then we're going to slice along. Now, asparagus is a little bit tougher, so just make sure you've got a sharp knife and make sure you're keeping your fingers tucked back out the way, because we don't want anything to hurt ourselves, as I'm often doing. Hence the glove. And once our asparagus has been sliced, we're going to take and we're going to slide that onto the tray that's already got our chopped bell pepper on it, and we're going to set that aside. And now we require some broccoli, either fresh or frozen, as we don't need a massive quantity of broccoli. Frozen broccoli is a good way to go. We're looking for 100 to 125 grams. Next up, we need our garlic, between 2 to 4 cloves or roughly a half to 1 block of frozen crushed garlic. Now, I started using frozen garlic during the lockdowns as it was just easier to get hold of. If you're using frozen, you use slightly more than fresh because fresh holds a lot more flavour in it. And next up we require one onion. If it's a brown onion, it's about a medium size. If it's a red onion, it's a large size. Now, a red onion is slightly milder in taste but slightly sweeter than a brown onion, so it's your choice which way you want to go, but both work really well in the dish. First up, we want to take the top off our onion. We're then going to, after taking the top off, sit it on the flat area we've just created and then slice it in half before peeling the outer skin off. Now, holding the onion, as you see, we're going to try and create really thin slices, just sliding the knife down across your knuckles and keeping it as close to the edge as possible. We want real nice thin slices for the onion and go all the way right down to the edge of the root till you really can't go any further. And now that the onion's sliced, just slide it off and store it in a bowl until required. Just remember, cover it with some sort of liner or something to protect your eyes. I personally like using these sort of silicone liners. They grab hold of the bowl that you're using to stop any of the vapours getting out and stinging, but use anything, a cloth, whatever you want to use. Now, if you are using any frozen veg, such as I was with the broccoli here, once it's completely defrosted, just take and pour out any of that water out of it into your sink. Had you been using fresh broccoli, you could have jumped straight onto this stage earlier, but because I had to let it defrost, this is me only now going to start chopping up my broccoli. We're looking for 5 to 10mm chunks. We're not looking them to be large. Basically, think of the size of your tomato quarters, and that's roughly what we're looking to chop them to, that sort of size. No larger than the tomato quarters. So 5 to 10mm in size. And now we want to take and transfer all that lovely chopped broccoli onto the same baking tray that's holding your tomatoes, and that again gives you the visual representation. Have I chopped them to the right sort of size? And your potatoes should be cool enough to handle, so now just take and transfer them onto a wee side plate and set aside until we need them. And now we're going to add both our baking trays of vegetables into a preheated oven at 200 degrees Celsius, and we're going to put them in there for 20 minutes. And now that our 20 minutes is up, we're going to remove the charred vegetables from the oven, and we're going to very carefully transfer these to a bowl so that we don't burn ourselves. And now our garlic should also be defrosted, so we're going to chop the garlic and we're going to set that aside in a ramekin. I've mentioned this on other videos and I'm still on the fence. If you sprinkle some salt down in amongst your garlic, it may help it stop from sticking onto the edge of the knife as you chop it. I think it does, but I'm still not convinced. So it's one of these things, test it yourselves, see what you think. If you think it works, if you don't think it works, let me know if you try it. I think it does, but because I'm still not 100% sure, I'm going back and forward on dishes that I make where I've got garlic, sometimes doing it, sometimes not, to try and figure out, does it work? And now I'm looking for you to weigh out somewhere between 225 and 235 millilitres or grams of water. It's the same thing when it comes to water, and the reason I do that, it's more accurate than your jug. And now in very small amounts, we're going to add the water to our gram flour mixture. The reason you do it in small amounts is it helps prevent lumping. If you pour in a little bit, mix it together, pour in a little bit more, mix it together, and pour in a little bit more and mix it together, rather than dumping it all in one go. You're going to have a lot less lumps in your flour if you do it that way. And once fully mixed together, we can now add our charred vegetables and just give it a quick mix together with a spatula. And next is the same thing with our potatoes, so add them to the mixture and a wee quick mix together with a spatula again. And now we're ready to get cooking. So to a large saute pan or a frying pan, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil and we're going to bring that up to a medium-high heat. And once at temperature, we're going to add our sliced onion to the saute pan and we're going to sweat that for 8 minutes. Sweating means that we want the lid on it, so we're going to put the lid over our dish and we're going to sweat them for 8 minutes. Now periodically, once or twice, we're going to stir the onions and then we're going to get the lid straight back on. And once our 8 minutes is over, we're going to add the garlic and we're going to cook it for another 4 minutes, but again with the lid on. So get the garlic in, give it a good stir together and put the lid back on. By now the onions should be quite soft compared to where they were, but we're looking for a little bit of caramelisation to form as well. And once the 4 minutes has passed, 12 minutes since we started cooking, we're going to take and we're going to transfer the garlic and the onion into the bowl with all the rest of our flour mixture. And once again, give everything a good thorough stirring and mixing together. We want to try and get everything evenly distributed. Takes a little bit of effort, but not much. And now we want to add our 2 remaining tablespoons of vegetable oil and we're going to set the pan onto a medium heat. And then we want to add our flour vegetable mixture. We're going to even this out, level it out using the mixing spatula once it's all in the pan. Be quick, but don't be too quick so you cause yourself any injury on the oil, but we want to get it all in, then move everything around just so we get right up to the edges and get a nice even levelling of the mixture. And we're going to again cover with our lid and we're going to cook it like this for 20 minutes. Walk away, have a cup of tea, 20 minutes later, come back. And once the 20 minutes is over, remove the pan from the heat. Leave the lid on at this moment. Now, there's going to be a lot of steam here, so be careful when we take the lid off, as it's going to come billowing out. And using our spatula, we're just going to slide it round the edge of the pan and break any seal where the Spanish tortilla has gone and welded to it. There shouldn't be much, if any at all, but it will be some adherence. Just slide that round to break the seal. And next up, using a plastic fish slice, I don't want to see any metal fish slices, a plastic fish slice, we're going to cut it into 3 segments. Because we're using non-stick here, that's why you don't want to use metal, it will damage your non-stick. So plastic fish slice and 3 triangles of equal size. Next, take under one of the edges and we're going to slide the fish slice under and we're going to lift it out. If you need to, go in with your spatula just to break any bits that you didn't cut apart just perfectly with the slice. Now, other sauces are an option, but please try it with sweet chili sauce first. Drizzle some sweet chili sauce quite generously over your Spanish tortilla and then yum yum yum. And so there we go. Vegan Spanish omelette. Spanish tortilla, whatever way you want to think of it. And don't forget your sweet chili sauce. It really helps just enhance all the flavours, bringing it out. You've got a lovely crusty base on it. It's not too much crust, not too much crunch, but just adds a little bit to the textures that are all going in your mouth. I'm going to try and put this in without dropping it, but there's a bit already hanging. Again, there's a real breadth coming across it. You've got all the different veg in there. You've got sweet chilli helping draw it all out. You get a lot of softness throughout with the garam base, or the garam flour base. It's just yummy. So give it a go. Let me know if you make it. And thanks for watching. Stay safe, folks. All the best.